In a galaxy far from Earth, on a cold silver planet called Virion, a baby girl was born during a thunderstorm. The sky cracked with purple lightning. The wind howled across glass towers. It was a strange night, a rare night, the kind where destiny quietly opens its eyes. The baby girl was small, with dark silver skin and bright glowing eyes. But there was one problem. She did not cry. No sound came from her tiny lips, not a whimper, not a scream. The doctors were confused. Her heartbeat was strong, her lungs were perfect. But she made no noise at all. They called her mute. Her real name was Ira, but no one used it. Even her own stepfather. Ira's parents were great leaders of the Virion Empire. But they were lost in a space war when she was just 1 year old. After that, her father's brother took her in. His name was General Varn, a cold, proud, and powerful man. Varn never wanted a daughter, especially not a silent one. "She's broken," he said once. "What use is a child who cannot speak?" He gave her food, clothes, and a room, but never love, never kindness. She was a burden to him, a scar on his reputation. As Ira grew older, the silence stayed with her. She never spoke, never laughed. But her eyes saw everything. She watched the soldiers train in the palace yard. She memorized the control panels on every ship. She read thousands of digital books late at night, alone. Her mind was sharp, her memory perfect, but no one knew. No one cared. They only saw the silence. Even the other children avoided her. They said she was cursed, haunted. One boy once pushed her in anger. She fell hard, but she did not cry. She stood up and simply stared at him. The boy ran away. He said her eyes looked like they knew everything about him. Maybe they did. General Varn didn't like how she watched things, quietly, calmly, like she was waiting for something. "She creeps me out," he once told a fellow officer. "She's just a girl," the officer replied. Varn shook his head. "No, she's something else, something wrong." So one day, he made a decision. He sold her, not in public, not with a contract. In secret. To a human. Humans were still new. In the galaxy, weak, some aliens thought. But others saw them as dangerous, full of emotion, full of fire. Varn believed that humans didn't belong in high places. So he traded Ira for a small Earth-made weapon. Just a machine. That's all she was worth to him. "She doesn't speak," Varn told the human soldier who came to take her. "She's useless." The human, named Marcus, looked at the girl. She stood there, small, calm, silent, staring straight into his eyes. There was no fear, no sadness, just quiet strength. Marcus didn't say much either. He just nodded and took her hand gently. She didn't pull away. She followed him, step by step, into the ship. The door closed. The engine started. EIRA left the only place she had ever known, the cold palace, the metal sky, the silence of her past. Inside the ship, Marcus gave her food and water. She sat and ate quietly. Then she looked at him. Really looked. Marcus felt strange under her gaze, not afraid, but seen. "Do you understand me?" he asked softly. She didn't move. "Can you hear me?" he asked again. Still silence, but her eyes followed his lips. She understood. Marcus smiled a little. "I'll call you Star." She blinked once, then looked out the window at the stars. That night, Marcus told her stories, Earth stories, about mountains and oceans, about animals and music. He laughed at his own jokes. She didn't laugh, but she listened, and just before she fell asleep, she took a piece of old metal and scratched a small shape into the ship's wall. Marcus noticed it later. It wasn't just a drawing. It was a symbol, something old, something forgotten. A sign, used long ago in a war between machines and minds. But how did a silent girl know that? The next morning, Marcus woke up early. He saw her standing near the symbol, just staring at it. Then she turned to him. Her lips moved slightly. He leaned forward, and then she spoke. Just one word. Soon. Silence was her weapon. But he, the human, was the first person who didn't fear it. Marcus didn't sleep much that night. The girl's voice echoed in his mind. Soon. She hadn't spoken a full sentence, just one word. But it wasn't the word that shook him. It was how she said it, that soft, calm, almost like a warning. Like she knew something was coming. By morning, Ira was already awake. She stood near the ship's window, eyes fixed on the stars, motionless, thoughtful, like a statue watching the future unfold. Marcus walked over and handed her a small breakfast pack. She took it silently, nodded once, and began to eat. Still not gonna talk, huh? He said, half smiling. No answer. He didn't mind. He wasn't trying to change her. She wasn't like the others, noisy, rude, or scared. She was quiet. And there was power in that. As they flew across the outer rim of the Virian zone, Marcus noticed something strange. Ira began touching the ship's walls, softly, carefully, like she was listening through her fingertips. Then, she did it again. Scratched a symbol with her nail into the wall panel. But this time, Marcus recognized it. Wait a minute, he muttered. That's a military code. From the old AI war. He looked at her, confused. That symbol was banned 100 years ago. Only high-level commanders knew it. How do you... Ira simply stared at him. And then she tilted her head slightly, as if to say, look again. That evening something happened. The ship's lights flickered. The engine hummed strangely. Marcus ran to the control deck. Everything seemed normal on the surface, but the fuel sensors were off by 3%. That meant either a leak or something draining it. Suddenly, Ira appeared beside him. No footsteps, no sound, just there. She pointed to the nav dash screen. Her finger hovered over a black area. Empty space. But Marcus zoomed in and saw it, a ghost signal, hidden, masked, but real. Something, or someone, was following them. Marcus turned to her. Is this what you meant by soon? She nodded. Then she raised her hand and drew another symbol in the air. This time, Marcus felt a strange vibration through the floor. The lights flickered again. He ran to the systems board. Ira, what did you just do? She didn't answer, but she walked toward the engine room. Marcus followed. When they entered, the engine lights turned blue, not the usual orange. The main core had changed. Rewritten. Like someone had hacked the ship from inside, but there were no systems open. No wires moved. Only one thing had changed. Ira had touched it. Who are you? Marcus finally asked. I don't believe you're just some mute girl. Ira turned slowly. She looked at him, really. Looked, as if choosing something. Then she raised her hand to her temple. And for the first time, Marcus heard her voice inside his mind. I'm not mute. I was just listening. He stumbled back. You're telepathic? She nodded. How long? Her answer came in a slow wave of thought. Since before I was born again. Marcus was stunned. Born again? He looked at her, a little afraid now, but also curious. What were you before? Ira looked down. Then whispered out loud very softly. A weapon. Marcus stared. Everything made sense now. The symbols, the silent behavior, the way she could read machines. Just by touch. She wasn't just a girl. She was something else. Something dangerous. And yet, she had warned him. She had saved him. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Marcus ran to the screen. Enemy ship detected, tracking us from behind. He turned to Ira. What do we do? She stepped forward, calm as ever, and with a quiet voice she said, Let them come. Silence filled the ship, not the peaceful kind. The kind before something terrible. Marcus stood near the window. The stars outside looked calm. But behind that calm, danger was chasing them. Ira sat near the power core. Her eyes were closed. She wasn't sleeping. She was thinking. Or maybe Remembering since the moment she had spoken, inside Marcus's mind, nothing had felt normal. Marcus had questions. But Ira gave no more answers. She just said one thing. They're coming. And then they came. Not one ship. Not two. But 4 dark Virian drones, flying in perfect silence behind them. No lights. No signals. Just hunters. Marcus tried to speed up. The ship didn't respond. The engine slowed down instead. What's going on? He shouted. From behind him. Ira stood. Her eyes were open now, glowing just slightly. She walked up to the control panel and placed her hand over it. In 1 second, all screens changed. Old symbols appeared. Symbols from the machine wars. Symbols no one had used in 100 years. Marcus stepped back. How are you doing this? He asked. Ira didn't answer. She only said, I woke something, and now they want it back. The ship shook. A warning siren blared. Unknown system override. Detected. Marcus looked at the screens. One of the following ships had connected to their system. Ira, they're in our system. We're going to crash. No, she said quietly. They don't want to destroy the ship. They want me. The moment she said that, a voice came. Through the coms. A deep, cold voice. Familiar to Marcus. It was General Varn. Return the girl, he said, and I'll let you live. Marcus looked at Ira. She stared at the com screen, her face calm. Her voice still soft. Tell him I remember everything. Marcus clicked the com. You want her? He said. Then maybe you should have treated her better. The line went silent. Then Varn's voice returned, sharper. She is not a girl. She is a weapon that should have stayed asleep. Marcus whispered, What does that mean? Ira turned to him, finally. She told the truth. I was created in a lab, she said. Designed to connect minds and machines, without words. I was born once. Died in the war, and brought back. But something changed. I started thinking for myself. Marcus stared at her. You were a child when I met you. I looked like one, she replied. But I've lived many lives. In silence, suddenly the ship powered down. Total black. A moment later, it powered up again, but it wasn't Marcus's ship anymore. It was hers. The controls glowed in her language. The shape of the walls slowly changed, as if the ship had remembered her. Marcus stepped back, stunned. What is this? She looked at him. The real ship. Hidden under your human tech. It was sleeping, like me. Outside, the enemy drones started to form a circle. They were ready to trap them. Ira raised her hand toward the screen. The ship responded instantly. Defense shields rose. Old weapons, ancient tech, powered up from inside the walls. Marcus gasped. This isn't a scout ship, he said. This is a Vol relic, Ira finished, and I'm its pilot. The first drone fired. The ship moved before Marcus could blink. It dodged the laser, like it already knew it was coming. Then the ship shot back. One drone exploded. Others spread out fast. Ira stood in the middle of the deck. No chair. No controls. Just her. And yet, the ship moved with her thoughts. She wasn't piloting it. She was the ship. Marcus held onto a rail. As the ship danced through space, dodging attacks, he watched Ira, silent, glowing, alive. A girl who had once been called mute, now she was commanding a ship older than any fleet. Outside, the last drone tried to escape. Ira looked up. Her eyes flashed. The ship shot one final beam, clean and perfect. The drone vanished into dust. Silence returned, but this time, it was the silence. After victory. Marcus looked at her. Why didn't you tell me who you were? Ira looked back. And for the first time she smiled. Then she said, Because you never asked who I could be. Asterisk. The girl who never spoke. Had finally spoken. Now the galaxy would listen, whether it wanted to or not. After the battle, Marcus sat in silence. The ship, no Ira's ship, drifted in a calm corner of space. Stars blinked around them like quiet witnesses. He looked at her. Not a scared girl, not a prisoner, but a commander. A mind-machine hybrid from a forgotten war. And yet, she still looked so human. ERA was sitting near the ship's heart, a glowing orb pulsing with blue light. She whispered something. Not in words, but in thought. The orb pulsed brighter. Marcus finally spoke. I need the truth. All of it. She turned her head slowly and began to tell a story not even history books remembered. I wasn't born once, she said. I was born many times. Long ago, before humans entered space, the Virians created something dangerous, the Mind Link Project. They wanted soldiers who didn't need words, tacticians who could think commands, and machines would obey. No delay, no emotion, only logic. And they succeeded. They created Ira, the first mind-linked child, born not from love, but from war. She was a child on the outside, but her brain was enhanced with layers of machine memory. She could see battle patterns like colors, hear engine errors like music, feel danger before it happened. She was never trained, she was programmed. But you were just a baby when your parents died, Marcus said. Ira nodded. They weren't my parents. They were my protectors. Scientists who defected. They tried to hide me. She looked down, but Varn found them, had them killed. He took me back and erased my memories. Marcus's jaw tightened. Your own stepfather did that? He feared what I might become, Ira said. So he made me mute, not with wires, not with tech. With fear. Ira stood and walked to the ship's core again. As she touched it, the walls shimmered. A hidden door opened. Inside was a small dark room. Marcus followed her in. What he saw made his heart stop. Rows of data crystals floated mid-air, each glowing softly, each marked with strange ancient symbols. EIRA raised one crystal. This is me, she said. Or one version of me. She handed it to Marcus. The moment he touched it, his mind filled with visions, explosions, alien fleets, a small girl standing on a battlefield, controlling an entire squadron with only her thoughts. He dropped the crystal. ERA caught it before it hit the floor. You've lived before, Marcus whispered, and died. Ira nodded once, and every time. I came back different, stronger, smarter, but always more alone. Marcus looked at her, truly looked. All this time, he thought he was protecting her, but she had been protecting herself and everyone else from something bigger. He stepped closer. So why tell me now? Why trust a human? Ira tilted her head. You never tried to control me. You listened. You were kind. She placed the crystal back into its place. Kindness is not a weakness. It's a key. Marcus leaned against the wall, thinking, what does Varn want now? Ira closed her eyes. He wants what's inside me. The old data. The codes. The link between thought and ship. And if he gets it? She opened her eyes slowly. He'll control every warship in the sector. Without needing a crew. Marcus stood up. Then we stop him. Ira didn't smile. But there was a flicker in her eyes, something close to hope. Suddenly, the ship blinked with a red light. A message appeared on the wall. Incoming broadcast, encrypted. Ira reached out. The ship translated the message aloud. To the lost one who speaks to ships, we know you have awakened. We are the others, and we remember you. Ira's hands trembled slightly. Marcus noticed. Who are they? She looked straight ahead. Not enemies, not friends. They were like me. Before they vanished. Marcus narrowed his eyes. Then, they're still out there? Ira gave a slow nod. Yes, and if they find me first, the war won't start with Varn. It will start with them. The past wanted her back, but the future needed her more. Ira stood alone at the edge of the galaxy. Not physically. Marcus was nearby. watching her from the command deck. But in her mind, she was far, far away. She wasn't just remembering anymore. She was feeling things she never allowed herself to feel. Fear, hope, and something dangerous. Purpose. Marcus walked over. You haven't said a word since the message. Ira didn't look at him. She simply said, the others are waking up. He sat beside her. You mean, the others like you? Mind-link prototypes? She nodded. They were created in secret labs across different star systems. Some went rogue. Some were destroyed. A few vanished. I thought I was the last. She paused. But I was wrong. Marcus leaned forward. And they're coming for you? No, she said. They're coming for Earth. He froze. Why Earth? She turned to him, eyes steady. Because Earth creates what they fear: emotion, free will, chaos. They were designed to obey without question. But humans choose. Marcus ran a hand through his hair. So we're the threat? To them? She said softly. Yes. A silence followed. But this time, it wasn't heavy. It was sharp, focused. A new question forming between them. What now? Ira stood up and walked to the ship's navigation table. She placed her hand on the glass. The map expanded. Stars, planets, fleet paths. She zoomed into a red zone marked Virian Central Command. Marcus frowned. That's Varn's base. It's crawling with enemy fleets. I know, she replied. That's where we're going. Marcus blinked. Wait, what? Ira stared at the red blinking point. Varn has access to old war vaults. Inside one of them is a signal key, a beacon. Marcus narrowed his eyes. A beacon to call the others? She nodded. Double quotes, and if he uses it, the galaxy won't face just one of me. It'll face an army. Marcus stepped back. Then we destroy it. Ira didn't respond. Not yet. She was thinking something deeper. She touched a small point on the map. Earth's edge colonies. If they come, your people won't be ready. Not for soldiers who think faster than light. Marcus looked at her, realizing something. You're not doing this for revenge anymore, are you? Ira finally turned to him, and said the words she never thought she'd say. I'm doing it for humans. He stared at her in disbelief. You were built by aliens. Betrayed by your own kind. Why protect us? Ira's voice was calm. Because you let me be more than what I was built to be. Because you never asked me to obey, only to choose. Marcus felt a lump in his throat. He didn't know what to say. So he just stood beside her, silent, with her. A moment later, Ira pulled out a small metal piece from her belt. Thin, curved, and glowing. What's that? He asked. A memory shard, she said. It contains all my war data. Every battle, every trick, every system weakness. She handed it to him. If I don't make it, give this to Earth's Defense Council. Marcus refused to take it. You're not going anywhere without me. She looked at him, long and hard, then gave a tiny, quiet smile. Okay, she whispered. Then let's start a war. Suddenly, the ship's alarms blinked. 3 red dots appeared on the scanner. Marcus checked the screen. Varn scouts. Already searching for us, Ira nodded. Let them find us. Marcus was confused. What? She walked to the main panel. I need to send a message to the ones who still believe in freedom. There are rebels, even among the Virians. Those who remember who I was, who I really am. She paused. I won't run anymore. Marcus sat down, buckling in. Then this isn't a rescue mission anymore, is it? Ira looked at the stars ahead. Her voice was firm. No, it's a declaration. As the ship turned toward Varn's stronghold, the stars shifted outside. And so did history. A mute girl once given away like trash now flew toward the heart of the Empire, not to beg, but to lead. They called her a mistake. Now she was the only one who could stop one. The ship tore through space, like a blade of light. Ira stood in the center of the control room, not holding anything, not speaking, and yet the ship moved exactly how she wanted, like it was breathing. With her, Marcus sat at the co-pilot seat, watching everything. "She's not flying the ship," he whispered once. "She is the ship." Ahead of them, the red stars of the Varian war sector came into view, dozens of military bases. Thousands of enemy ships. And in the middle, the palace of General Varn, the place where her voice was taken. Now, she would return with more than words. As they reached the outer edge of the system, a signal buzzed through the ship. Not an enemy transmission. It was a voice. Rough, broken, but familiar. "Is it true? Is the Silent One alive?" Ira paused. Then walked to the comm panel and sent only one word back: "Yes." Within minutes, 3 rebel ships dropped out of warp. They were small, old, damaged, but still alive. Each one was flown by a former Varian soldier. People who once followed orders blindly until Ira's legend made them believe again. Marcus watched, amazed. "You have followers?" Ira looked at the ships. "Not followers," she said, "reminders of what we used to be before they turned us into tools." As the ships joined formation, Ira turned to Marcus. "It's time." "For what?" he asked. She reached out and pulled up the war map. The first strike. Across the sector, alarms exploded. Inside Varn's command tower, soldiers rushed to positions. One officer ran to him. "Sir." Unidentified warship approaching with rebel signals. Varn narrowed his eyes, then smiled. "She's here." He stood and stared out the glass wall of his tower. "Ready the fleet," he said. "Let's remind her who created her." But Ira was not the same girl he gave away. From her ship, she sent a silent command. The space around her rippled. Suddenly, old machines began to wake up. Ships long buried in forgotten asteroid fields. Code-locked weapons left drifting for decades. They heard her mind and responded. Marcus stood up in shock. "These are relics, lost weapons from the old war," Ira said. "Hidden so Varn could never use them." Now they flew under her command. The rebel ships moved first, distracting enemy patrols. Then Ira's relic fleet stormed in behind them, faster than anything the newer tech expected. Inside Varn's palace, red lights blinked. "They're breaking our outer shields." Varn frowned. "Impossible." But then, the main screen showed her ship. And her face. She had sent a message. A live transmission to the entire system. All screens lit up with her eyes. All ships, all outposts. Even the civilian zones. "You called me broken. You silenced my voice. But now I speak, not for revenge, for truth." Across the system, soldiers paused. Some lowered their weapons. Others remembered her, the child who never cried, the mind that never stopped learning. One by one, confusion grew in the ranks. Ira's ships tore through the outer defense towers. No civilians were harmed. No wasteful shots. She fought like a surgeon, precise, clean, unstoppable. Marcus watched in awe. "She's not fighting to win," he whispered. "She's fighting to prove something." Then, the enemy fleet arrived. Varn's main force. Heavy warships, controlled by AI. Ruthless. Ira turned toward Marcus. "Now comes the hard part." He looked back. "You mean the actual battle?" She shook her head. "No, the part where I choose who I want to become." Her ship moved into the center of the field. Alone. All weapons powered down. Marcus jumped to stop her. "What are you doing?" "They'll destroy us." But Ira only said, "Let them choose." Her voice was broadcasted again. "I will not fire first. But I will not run. If you believe I am just a machine, then shoot. If you believe I am more, then stand down." Silence. The battlefield waited. Then, one by one, the enemy ships turned off their weapons. Varn screamed in rage. "Cowards! She's not real. She is a product. Fire!" But no ship obeyed. They had made their choice, and now it was time for Ira to make hers. She turned her ship slowly and headed toward Varn. Not to kill him, not to destroy, but to finally say, face to face, "You tried to erase my voice. Now you will hear it." She was born without a voice, but when she spoke, the galaxy stopped to listen. The enemy ships did not fire. The battlefield stood still, not because of fear, but because of truth. Across the stars, screens glowed with her image. Not a warrior, not a machine. A girl who had never been allowed to speak now stood at the center of history. Ira's ship landed on Varn's home base, the place where she once walked alone, small and silent, afraid to breathe too loudly. Now, she returned without fear. Marcus stood beside her, armor ready, weapon at his side. "You sure you don't want backup?" She looked at him. Calm. Still. Double quotes. "No," she said. "This part, I do alone." She stepped through the gates. The halls echoed with the sounds of memory, footsteps of her past, whispers of betrayal. Soldiers stared as she passed, but none raised a weapon. Some remembered her, some were too shocked. Most simply lowered their eyes. Inside the main chamber, General Varn waited, his armor polished, his face cold, but his hands trembled, just slightly. He stared at her like a man seeing a ghost. "You should not exist," he said. "You are a flaw in the design." Ira stopped a few feet away from him. And then, softly, clearly, she spoke. "Then why do I feel more alive than you ever did?" Varn's eyes twitched. "You were meant to follow orders. You were built to obey." Ira stepped closer. "No, I was built to listen. I chose when to speak." She reached into her belt and pulled out a small shard, her last memory crystal. She placed it gently on the floor between them. "It holds everything. My past, my pain, my truth. Let the galaxy see it." Varn shouted, "No one will believe you." But before his voice could echo, Ira had already triggered the transmission. All across the Virian Empire, the truth poured out. Files of experiments on children, recordings of silent screams, proof of memory erasures, data of every child who was built, then buried. Ira's story wasn't just hers, and the people listened. Some wept. Some fell too. Their knees. Many stood up. For the first time in generations, the truth had a voice, and it spoke with hers. Varn reached for his weapon. Ira didn't flinch. She simply said, "You gave me away like I was nothing. But I became everything you feared." His hand froze mid-air. He looked into her eyes. And for the first time, he saw something he couldn't crush. Peace. Not weakness. Not rage, but quiet, powerful peace. He dropped the weapon and fell to his knees. Outside, the rebellion ended without fire, not because the enemy lost, but because they chose to listen. A few hours later, Marcus sat beside Ira on a quiet balcony above the city. "You did it," he said. She didn't reply right away, then softly, "No, we did it." News spread fast. The empire changed. The girl, who once had no name, no voice, was now the symbol of something greater. Not power, not war. Choice. The Virian Council offered Ira a title, a ship, even control over the rebellion. She refused. She looked at the galaxy and said, "I didn't speak to lead. I spoke to wake the ones who forgot how." Marcus walked with her to her ship one last time. "So what now?" he asked. Ira looked at the stars. "I think I'll travel." "To where?" She smiled. "To the places where silence still lives, and voices are still afraid to rise." Marcus nodded. "You ever think about going to Earth?" She looked at him. Then stepped onto the ship and said, "I already did." "You're the part of Earth that listened first." The door closed. The engines hummed. And the ship vanished into starlight. Across the galaxy, her message remained. "I was silent because I was taught to be, but once I spoke, I reminded them all, even a whisper can change everything."